Okay, so today's topic is going to be about colorism and activism work. Before anything else, subscribe to my YouTube. I have a Patreon. I have a film that I made in 2016 that I sell. I'm selling prints. I'm going to put them on the link. And yeah, so first off, I want to start by just redefining what colorism is, because a lot of definitions of colorism is wrong as fuck, and I think it's a really simple thing to understand. So colorism is the discrimination of darker skinned people. I think the intersection between colorism and femininity is something that's like a really fascinating thing to kind of focus on, because the experiences of colorism for women and non-binary people is like a very different experience than colorism for Black men. So I speak about colorism that women experience. As people are getting more knowledge on Blackness, I'm realizing that a lot of people's reference point to hearing about Blackness is coming from people who are either A, biracial, or B, light-skinned, and at least the women. So I'm noticing that a lot of people who are speaking on Blackness who are given these platforms look a certain way. They have a certain look. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of interesting to dissect, because I feel like that look and that like want is also something that society definitely wants to promote of Black femininity. A lot of people would rather promote a light-skinned woman to speak on these issues than a dark-skinned woman. But one thing that I wanted to really point out that's very important to understand is that biracial women, light-skinned women's experiences is completely different than dark-skinned women's experiences, because of the fact that we are facing a whole different kind of oppression that light-skinned women are not. So when you have a platform of everyone who's light talking about Blackness and you're not addressing colorism, to be honest, you're not really doing much work, because you're not actually reflecting on your own privileges that you're existing on in that space. And I just am so tired of seeing panels where everybody's light-skinned speaking on light-skinned women who are speaking on Blackness. And they don't ever think, maybe we should have someone dark speak on here. And I think that a lot of times it feels as if there's like an erasure of dark-skinned women, dark-skinned femmes, from experiences of Blackness, because I think that if you have a dark-skinned woman on there, they're gonna call a lot of things out, and that does not help the cause. I think that people also really struggle with understanding that you can have multiple thoughts and multiple ideas at the same time. You can, like Black women can be systematically oppressed and have a hard time, and there can still be privileges within Blackness. Light-skinned women can still have a hard time with Blackness and still be oppressive to dark-skinned women on colorism. I think the more we learn how to work with multiple systems at a time, the stronger things will be, because it's intersectional. So I think that every single time that we continue to highlight only light-skinned women to speak on Blackness, it's an act of erasing a dark-skinned woman's experience on Blackness, which is very necessary, because there is an erasure and a lack of representation of dark-skinned women in media and speaking out in general. You know, I feel like I've seen some light-skinned activists address it, kind of. They're like, oh yeah, colorism is bad. But ultimately, I'm like, but what are you doing about that, right? Like, you're still on panels where everyone is light. You're still not calling out jobs that you know you've gotten for being light. There's so much that light-skinned people can do that can actively fight and like help out colorism. But I think people don't want to do it because people don't want to lose, they don't want to sacrifice anything. And that kind of is exhausting, because I don't want you to just call out colorism and say, yeah, colorism is, as like a light-skinned person, they're like, yeah, colorism is real, it's bad. It's like, but what are you gonna do about it? Are you calling out companies that you know only highlight light-skinned people? Are you calling out film crews or like movies that only have light-skinned stories? Are you doing anything to actually like highlight, promote, and show dark-skinned women and show dark-skinned femmes and dark-skinned people's experiences? I don't know. I don't really think you are, and I think that I'm tired of seeing these people who continually take platforms and continually take space not address colorism. That's just not enough. I think it's the same thing as a cis woman. I think it's really important for you to speak on your privileges as a cis woman, and to always highlight highlight the fact that we are sitting on privileges that people who are trans don't have. I think just as important as that is, it's the same importance to notice colorism. And I just get really tired of seeing the same people and the same stories, and I just think it's violent, like, to erase dark-skinned femmes dark-skinned people from the narrative of blackness. When I think about like activists who are like revered, they were like mainly light-skinned. Like I think of like Angela Davis, or I think about people who are on TV like Angela Rye or Amanda Seales or Ijeoma. Like a lot of these people are light-skinned, and I just feel like we can do a lot more by highlighting dark-skinned voices and showing the ways in which colorism affects our blackness, affects everything. Like, so I'm not selling for crumbs. If there's like a motto I have in 2020, it's like, I'm not taking crumbs. I don't think that activism is really doing anything if it's not addressing colorism. I don't think blackness is doing anything if it's not addressing colorism. I don't think blackness is doing anything if it's not addressing sexism or transphobia or homophobia. Like, we have to be inclusive, we have to be intersectional, we have to be constantly pushing ourselves. And I'm saying all of this with love, because a lot of the people who I do love and do respect their work, they are light-skinned, but I just feel like there should be other platforms given to people who aren't, and they should be using their privileges to call out the fact that they're getting this work, a lot of it is because of their skin color, and the fact that they're on panels where everyone looks like them. It's not good enough. That's crumbs to me. So I just say that to be like cautious and have people know that whenever you do these works, whenever you're doing work of understanding blackness, make sure it's intersectional, make sure you're understanding what colorism is, and make sure you're understanding and highlighting voices that speak on that stuff, because it's mad fucking important. So yeah. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Cheers!